I just want to welcome you and tell you that we are very glad to have you here today. Hi, Dan. Are you doing like a live video or what's happening? Great. He just learned how to use the Instagram. So yeah. Obviously, we have an incredible panel of people here that I'm going to introduce in a minute, but I wanted to introduce Kevin Mokel. Kevin, if you come up real quick. Kevin is co-sponsoring this with us. I've known Kevin for years, and the reason he and I partner together on things like this is because he has the same way of doing business. He believes at a very high level that you guys are the reason that we're in business, and he's very grateful for that. And so he's always trying to give back to the agent community. He owns an insurance company, and they do a phenomenal job. Many of our clients have used them, but he also owns a full-service marketing company. So if any of you do not have your own in-house marketing or need some extra help, he's great. I can tell you that he has come to try to help our team, because I'm just learning the Instagram and all the things as well. So reach out to him. There's contact information in the front.
Yep,
okay.
Good, thank you.
Thank you to Kevin. Cassie, where are you? Are you here? Did you leave? Okay, is she hiding? I just want to introduce Cassie, who is our incredible marketing person, who, she helped us do all of this. She doesn't like when I brag about her, but she is the most talented marketing person in Kansas City. Why she works for me, I do not know, but I am so eternally grateful for that, and grateful that I was able to meet her through Dan O'Neill, one of our panelists. So thank you, Cassie. My name is Jen Dial with Fairway Mortgage. Been in mortgage for 23 years. Very grateful to know and work with some of these amazing people up here. And I do also want to say, we know that we can't stay in business without you guys. And so we're going to start doing more of this. We expect to do at least 2 more of these this year. So be on the lookout for it. Thank you guys for coming. And now I want to introduce the people you're here to hear from. Okay, so really quick, I just want to share their numbers, because at the end of the day, numbers are how we are ranked, right? And even though it doesn't mean everything and it's not the whole story is important, you have extremely successful people up here. So first I'm going to go with Dan. Go with Dan O'Dell. So Dan O'Dell and Group O'Dell last year did 319 transactions. Yeah. For $122.6 million in volume. He's been in business for 27 years. And his way of doing business is working by referral in the Buffini system. For those of you that don't know it, I'm sure he'll talk about it today. It's what changed my life. He's one of the biggest mentors I've ever had. And along with everyone up here, if you don't know him, then you should. Okay, we have the beautiful Shannon Brimacombe, 109 transactions for $65 million. 26 years in business. She is mostly referral, really likes to leverage tech, and has a boutique type team. Knowing Shannon, I would tell you that she has grit and a work ethic like very few people that I've seen, and that is why she's been in business for this long. So, Brent Sledd, probably known as the nicest person in the world. 76 transactions for $40 million. 40 years in business, you guys. That's classic. Clap for that, please. 40 years. He's going to talk about how he builds lifelong relationships and friendships. And again, I don't think there is anyone that is not his friend in the city. So he's going to talk about that. And then we have subbing today for Kristen Melfer, who had a last minute thing. The amazing Stephanie Bulcock with Compass and the collective team. She did personally 113 units for $45 million. What I want to tell you guys is she's just 7 years in the business. Okay? Her team, the collective group, did 268 units for over $106 million. That's a lot. 7 years. That's impressive. Yeah. Okay. So we had some questions we gave these guys in advance, and then thank you to all who submitted your questions. We're going to try to get through as many of them as possible. You guys pass the mics down. I don't care who goes first, but I know everybody is really excited to hear from you. One of the questions we got a lot was, what is something that you wish you had known when you first started the business that you know now? With years comes wisdom, so what is something that you wish you had known or done earlier in your career?
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it on? I don't know. I don't think it's on, sir.
Oh, Brent. Okay. So something I wish I had known or done. Yeah, I had a really crazy career, so I started doing this full time. Or I worked at Hallmark when I was 18, and I did that for 24 years. I did this on the side for 20. So, and now 20 years full time, obviously. But anyway, something I wish I had done would be to leave my day job sooner. But one thing that I did do right early on, even where I worked at Hallmark, I hired a full-time assistant, and sorry for freezing.
No, that's okay, you're good. We talked about this, he hired somebody right away, which is hard to do if you're not making money yet, right? But it was a game changer for him.
One thing I did is I tried to figure out how I could do things others weren't doing. I'm a very independent thinker, and I tried to do some of I'm not a big technology guy. I know our team has great technology and things like that, so I'm definitely one of the relationships that basically I try to be very visible and be around town and get to know a lot of people. I learned early on that having a niche market was a really good thing for me. Like working at Hallmark, I sold a lot of houses to Hallmark people, and I tried to create that experience where I always say make yourself referable, so I always try to give them that experience that would make them want to be refer me and excited to refer me. But I just tried to think of different things and really above and beyond things, and to know every single thing I could. Little things, big things, but anyway.
Dan, same question since you have the mic. What's something you wish you'd known when you started the business?
My goal, I think our goal as a team up here is to give you nuggets that you could take home and apply, okay, versus hearing ourselves talk. Probably one of the most important things I've learned since I was new is that you guys, us, we are not the cause of our problems, we are the solution to our problems. This is a co-op industry. And when you're in a transaction, you're only as good as the weakest member of the team. And when you're in a transaction, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, the transaction coordinators, the teams are all in collaboration. And I learned this from Mr. Sledd. I don't think he has an enemy in this earth. And so he's taught me when I was very young how to collaborate and make your co-op agent your friend. If you do this business right, you really don't have a lot of competition. And he's opened up many doors for me because he embraced me when I was just getting started. And he's taught me that this is a co-op friendly industry and we should teach it as such. I wish I knew that back then like I know now.
Stephanie, same question.
As the newest person on this panel, I think, like Brent, I started out part-time. I would have taken the plunge a little quicker. I kept my corporate gig for 18 months before I went full-time. But I think that what I did as soon as I kind of went full-time is I mapped out my process. So once I had a really good understanding of the real estate transactions, I went through the entire end-to-end client experience for my buyers and sellers, and I mapped it out. And I said, what am I going to do and what am I going to do differently? With so many agents across Kansas City, how do I stand out? How do I serve my clients? How do I build that referral network? How do I surprise and delight? And so one of the things that I did fairly early on was I got really tight about who I am, how I serve, and then I have an amazing process for buyers, sellers, and co-ops. And it just, helps keep everything in the flow. And it's something that we're constantly tweaking and evolving as well. Just what are those touch points? Where can we surprise and delight? Where are the pain points? And by having, being laser focused on that process, it really just makes sure that we can deliver that amazing client experience.
I'm going to add to that because I talked to Stephanie for a while. I think, before this panel, I think a lot of times you guys get busy doing the business and not creating the process and taking the time to put the experience on paper, which as you grow and as you add an assistant, like Brent did, you have to be able to translate that to people immediately in order for them to take things off your plate. But if it's not in writing, how do you do that, right? You have it in your head. You have to stop what you're doing and take the time to do it. And if there are readers out there, I would highly recommend you read the book Traction, which talks all about how to set up your team and put a process and a client experience in writing, right? Shannon, to you, what's something you wish you had known?
I have to agree with Dan. We all are in this business together, and we have to co-op with each other. So even when the deal gets difficult, you shouldn't get mad at the other agent. You have to get along and work the deal out. The client, in turn, can't see any of that. So, early on, I had an agent friend in the business, and I was kind of flexing my muscles and telling her how smart I was. And she said, "Hey, Shannon, I just want to tell you something." She said, "This isn't about you and me. This is about the client. You haven't even gone to the client and asked them." And I thought it was the best piece of advice. I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like flexing my muscles thinking I was so cool. And that was about 3 years into the business. And at that point, I realized, hey, we're all friends here. And to the client, we have to create this calm the storm. They're looking to us for expertise. And when it gets difficult, we have to remain super calm and be professional all the time. So our co-op relationships are so important. But it's not just your co-op, it's within your company, it's within your team, it's everybody, it's the client.
And guys, how much business did you get done in the last 2 years because of relationships you've had, right? I mean, if you don't value relationships, I'm telling you, it would have been harder the last couple of years. It's been harder for you the last couple of years, and it's going to be harder. We're going to talk about the shift at the end in detail, but we got deals done simply because everybody knew each other on the transaction. Brent, you and I did one, right? And I know you talked about it in our conversation, Brent. You even sent thank you notes and gifts. Talk about that for a second.
So, I always say buyers and sellers come and go, realtors are forever. We all have a reputation in this business, and but I try to do some extra things like when the buyers are doing inspections on my listing, I make sure I go for the summary. It's a chance to meet that other agent. Back in the olden days, we used to always meet the other agent, and nowadays we don't that much unless we make an effort to. So I'll do happy hours, things like that, or I'm not great at gifts by any means, but I am good about keeping in touch with other agents at times. And if we got a really tough transaction, I go, man, we got to go celebrate that one. Things like that, and take me out for happy hours. I actually had a really tough deal about a month ago, and get a day away for closing. The ice maker line got left on, so we had a flood. We had to deal with that. The other agent and I worked well together. We got things done. We figured out a plan. Worked until I was did another tough deal with Jackson back here. And we were talking until 12:30 at night. It doesn't matter. You do what you got to do and take care of things. That was a really tough transaction too. But like the other one, I get a really nice handwritten note and a bottle of Thomastown bourbon. Another one, multiple offers, and the buyer's agent went above and beyond. He called my assistant, asked where my favorite place was to go for dinner, and she said, "Oh, J. Alexander's." So I get a really nice size gift card for J. Alexander's. So I think it's one thing to co-op and things like that, but it's another thing to do it above and beyond. And I treated somebody with a bottle of Blanton's bourbon, which apparently is really hard to get. So I repeated that one, but so you try to do those extra things. I always used to say homeworkers are the greatest people in the world. Now I say realtors are the greatest people in the world. And so we're so blessed to get to do what we do and make a living that we make. It's something we love doing. That these relationships are just awesome. So take the relationships to another level.
Dan gave me this advice, but I also have a couple coaches over my career giving this advice too. Sometimes we're so busy loving on our clients that we forget to love on the people that are right around us in the transaction, whether that be our team or our co-op agents or all the people involved in the transaction. I have gotten referrals from title company people simply because we were kind to them, we sent a thank you note, we dropped gift, we catered lunch. They have the opportunity to put us in front of people as well, and sometimes we forget to do those little extra things, not just for clients, but for each other, right?
There's a really good book called Giftology. Have you read
Giftology,
that?
yes, girl.
It's so good, and I think that that's like, we do a lot of that with our gifting strategies for clients, but then even like, they're talking about agents. Something else to keep in mind is local agents, but then, you know, agents that you meet from coast to coast. As you network and go to different conferences and, you know, meet different people, how do you stand out for that? This week alone, I have sent out 3 referrals to different agents from across the United States. And last week I closed 2 referral deals, and this week I've got another one as well from people that aren't even here in Kansas City. So that's been a really big piece of kind of that business as well.
And Dan, if you want to speak to this, because I wanted you to touch on this as well, since you're in the Buffini network, and I know that's a big part of your business, our next question was, what do you constantly do to grow business, or 1 or 2 or 3 things? And I know your network is huge outside of the country, and that's a big part of your referral business. You want to share?
We have traveled, my wife Maria and I have traveled 75 times to get out of the city to learn. 75 times in the last 20 years. That's just the learning part, that's not the vacation part. And one of the things that we learned is the business that is going to be of the future is going to be more impacted by out-of-town referrals. People coming into or leaving the city. And the network of people that we've been honored to create around the world is our go-to group. People that we've traveled with, people that have sat in seats like this to get better. And unfortunately, you're here, which is great, but the real unfortunate part, and unfortunately you're here, but the unfortunate part is there's 12,000 other people that are not here today. And unfortunately, our business makeup is not a business of learners and students. We're a business of part-time people, uncommitted people. As much as I love our co-op agent, 90% of the business that is done in the city is done by probably 10 to 50% of the agents. Okay, and that's a reality. So if you look around, look to your right and to your left, and when we talk about the shift, when you look to your right and your left, one of the 3 of you is not going to be here in a year. Okay, one of the 3 of you in this room is not going to be here. And so that's a reality of a constricting market and of a recession, and people that don't have the right tools, the right bullets in their gun are just not going to survive. Fortunately, all of us, and many of you, are looking forward to the recession. So, because we're armed and dangerous and ready to go. And one of the things we've done is we've just created a network of people in this city, many of you are here in this room, and around the country, to be ready to receive and give away business, okay? So the biggest way to, how do I set ourselves up to grow, is to make sure that we've checked in with all the people that are important to us. Okay, that's your A's and A pluses and B's and C's, and it's the people around the country. Okay, they want to know who the horses are, who the go-to people are in this city, and I want to know who the horses and the go-to people are around the country. And I collaborate with these people all the time about that stuff. You might think that we're sitting at a panel, we actually talk all the time. Okay, I've done deals with everybody, multiple deals, everybody on this panel in the last 6 months, okay? And so this is a regular occurrence for us, only it's usually with a beer or a blends or something else, okay? And many of you out there. But this, when I say it's a business of relationships, are you checking in with your people that you are in a relationship with? Most of us don't. And that is a huge problem. If you want to have a business for life, and you want to be able to grow a trajectory of growth, now is the time to set the stage with the people that you love and care of, and then put money in your pocket. You need to do it intentionally and regularly and consistently, not only here, but all over the country. That is the best advice I could give to get through any recession.
Shannon, what you got? 2, 3 things consistently.
I'm just gonna feed off that a little bit. We went to a conference and we were given a 2-sentence text, and we're supposed to do this to 5 to 10 people a day. It's super simple. Stay in touch with people, and it goes like this. Hey, Shannon here. Haven't seen you. Was driving by your house. Hope you're doing well. Who needs to text back? They all text back. Do 5 or 10 of those a day.
What else? Anything else you want to share? That you've consistently done? I know about events. I know you guys do great.
We have a big social network, so we do a ton of annual events. We like to have fun. We like to party. So we have 2 or 3 really fun events that people look forward to coming to. They're always like, when is that event? Am I on the invite list? So we make that a couple of them an annual event. And then we just stay in touch with our client base all the time. Whether it's social media, I get up in the morning and I literally turn my phone on and I look at social media and whose birthday is it? I need to send a card, I need to send a text message. Staying in touch with your COI is just key, and you can't do that enough. That's, it depends on what you're good at. It might be, maybe it's football and you like football or whatever, but our events are more socially probably oriented, and we do a lot of social media, and we use our CRM a lot.
And I'll just say for any of you who are new and maybe don't have the same budget that everyone on the stage has, the events don't have to be expensive. It's just a way to connect people. It can be something very small, very simple, at a local park. Does not have to have a big price tag on it, but what she said that was really important was annual. If you have it every year, people come to expect it. They are waiting for their invitation. If they don't get it, they will reach out and want to know how to be included. And I know, because you and I've talked about this, it's a lot easier for me to personally ask for business if I'm offering something. So, as a thank you for your continued support and referrals, we would love for you to come to our Kentucky Derby party. Right? Really easy kind of script. Stephanie, what about you?
We do a ton of pop buys. That's been a really great way for us to get in front of our clients. Did that since the very beginning, even when I just had a couple of clients, and now the client list has grown significantly. But we religiously get in front of our top people. So right now, we do a big pop buy every other month, and I'm up to doing a minimum of 100 touches every other month. And so it can be anything. We love doing things like plants. We've done, 2 years ago, we did hibiscus plants. And I just got a text from one of my favorite clients, and she sent a picture, and she goes, I see this every day, and I think of you. She kept that sucker alive for 2 years.
That's pretty crazy.
And last year we did ferns, and people are like, I kept my fern alive. And they right now we're doing, we found these really cute iced tea jugs from Target for $10 each. And we put some lemons in it and some iced tea, sun tea things. And the tag was sip, sip, hooray, enjoy your summer vacay. And so that's what we've been pushing out this month. We're doing watermelons. Thanks to melon for 4th of July. I mean, so we love doing it, and it's not necessarily about exactly what it is. It's that you're just getting out in front of them and you're going in. I don't personally deliver all 100 anymore, but I have my little, elves kind of running around town helping with that. But what we do is, we put it on their porch, we take a picture, and then it comes back to me and I send a text and I say, hey, just drop this off, thinking of you, hope everything is well. And like everyone said, they text back. They want to keep us in the know of what's going on with them and their lives and their family. And I will tell you, when I do 100 pop buys, I will get 10 referrals. That is my ROI on my pop buys. So I can go out and I can spend, on watermelons, you can get them for what, $3-4 a piece? Okay, so I'll spend $400 on watermelons, and my ROI is I'm going to get 10 clients. So
what's your average sale price? Let's do some quick math.
Yeah, my average sales price is $500,000.
Can you do that math?
So
3%?
Yes. But it's staying in touch, it's following up, and as much as sometimes we get busy doing all the things, sometimes we have to pull up and who needs to see me, right? Who needs to hear from me? And that kind of dictates who I deliver to. So out of my 100, I do 25, almost 75 delivered for me, but I rotate around to see like who I haven't seen in a minute. So.
And I know, I'm gonna say this because I know there are those of you out there rolling your eyes or thinking that this is cheesy, because I'm not gonna call any of you out by name because you said it to me. I'm gonna do it, right? You just heard the ROI. It's not about the gift. It's about remembering someone, and I think there's never been more of a time than now where people are craving connection, and you would be surprised how few people reach out to them. Truly.
It can even be an open house. If you're hosting an open house, have something, go to the Target dollar section, have some sort of open house swag that is not just a bottle of water, because people are going to open houses and they're interviewing you. And they're trying to see what you do and what your spread looks like and how do you differentiate yourself. So if you go to a collective listing, you know what it's gonna look like, you know what to expect as far as like how we're gonna be marketed with our rugs and our materials, but you go to an open house and you know that there's gonna be something there, right? And so it could be, it could be something small, nothing like pop-by-ish, but it could still be tied into that theme. Like we did the lemonade theme, we've done like fun straws, we've done Altoid mints, we were meant to work together. It could be something super small, but it's something for them just to take away to remember you guys stand out.
Love it. I'm gonna set the stage for you, Brent, because we talked about this. Again, most social guy, probably in this room, has 100 million friends, and he'll tell you that he doesn't do anything, but he does. He is like Mr. Go-to events, and where Shannon and Dan and I do some larger events, he is very like small group, one-on-one. Talk about that.
Yeah, I'm out on the town a lot. Whether it's realtor things or spending time with my friends or whatever, but I go to White Hand events. I'm very involved with RPAC and do the traveling with that. I go to DC and do the annual President's Circle event and things like that. So anyway, I'm extremely involved with that, face-to-face with realtors. But the other thing too, I tend to go to a lot of happy hours. I never miss a Chiefs game and things like that. So I go to a lot of concerts and go to the grocery store. Everywhere I go, I see somebody I know. And so I think, that, along with like the branding, things like that, and I try to be really visible. Like my signs have a picture with me with this shirt on. My listing presentation has me with my Chiefs shirt on it. Things like that. So I'm consistent with having that branding everywhere I go. I can do a lot better with it. After this many years of business, I'm probably not going to reinvent myself and go through a whole branding campaign or anything like that, even though it's probably a good idea. For example, there's 13,000 choices out there. I always say, what makes you different? Why would they pick you instead of somebody else? And so I think we have to do a number of things to differentiate ourselves, and brand is one. And I'll give you an example. My last name is Sledd. For my whole life, I thought I need to find some really good graphic designer and put a Sledd out there on all my pictures. And I think that's an example of something I probably could have done, had a lot of success with through the years. Every idea, it looked like a sleigh, or I just couldn't find one I really liked, and things like that. But anyway, it's working fine what I'm doing. But I think if you're young in the business, if you've been in the business for a long time, we all have branding that we do, and I think that's one of the best things that I've done in my business. But that, and along with just kind of being visible around town and running into people, and I was sold a couple thousand houses in my life, so I got a good COI out there, and I'm doing deals now with people I sold their house 25, 30 years ago. They're coming back to me, So I think you do things, I always said, every single person I ever sold a house to or sold a house for, I'd be really disappointed if they didn't remember me, because I try to create that experience where we have fun. And I think there's a lot of upfront expectations, you talk about financing, you talk about the process, things like that. But one thing I tell every single one of them, the very first time we talk, is one thing we're gonna do, we're gonna have fun. You know, it can be a really stressful experience, or it can be a really fun experience. Things are gonna happen that we don't expect, you know. My job is to help you avoid surprises and things like that, but,
Financing can be fun, Brent.
what's that?
Financing can be fun.
They are.
I wanted to say something you told me on our call. You said, free advice for life, which I loved. So yes, he's social, yes, he's friendly, yes, people like him. But he has created a brand of being a resource for people to call him for everything. And that is what you want. I want people to call me for a painter, for a babysitter, for a financial advisor. And you've done that, so.
Yeah, and I make a point of telling that at closing, I think it's a great time to bring up things like that. But I always tell them, free advice for life. If you need a painter or whatever down the road, then let me know. And I learned that from a company called By Referral Only that I went to back in the day. They were all about real estate branding and things like that. But free advice for life is not just something I say.
I'm stealing it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I got 5 painters I use. I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with. But I think that's a huge one as well. And I strongly encourage them to call me. And it's genuine.
Yeah. So I know, Brent, you had to answer this question already, but I know it's a question a lot of people want to know. When did you first hire an assistant or a TC? Who else?
Well, when I was working at Hallmark, I'd go 7 to 3:45 every day, 5 days a week. And my last year at Hallmark, I sold 38 houses, and I had a stretch of 6 weeks where I had 13 closings, having to juggle my day job and my real estate job, and 15 rental properties and 3 kids. And obviously a crumbling marriage, because I wasn't present. So I wouldn't recommend my route for anybody. But I remember I had a really, really tough deal. I was working in a lake and people were going through a divorce, and it was very time consuming. But I'll never forget, I had that one going on in this period where I had 13 closings in 6 weeks. I'm driving back from Lee's Summit to that deal. Because Hallmark people are everywhere, they're in party, they're everywhere. And this has been the paper days back then. But I was driving down home through 435, and there was an agent in my office that was, selling $1 million or $2 million back in the 90s. And so anyway, I called her and I said, I need help bad. And so that's when I hired her. And so over time, I finally learned that there's things I can let go of. People don't care necessarily that I show every single house that they look at. They don't necessarily care that I meet the stage or meet the photographer, all these things that I can take off my plate. So I did learn that early enough. I can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah. And we're not good at everything, right?
Yeah.
Shannon, what about you? Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah. Like the NFL says, they say protect the shield. Honor your brand. And the more you drop balls or get overloaded, get stressed out, things like that, the more you're killing your brand. So always keep that in mind.
Shannon, would you first hire someone?
Not soon enough. I was working
Told
probably.
you. Told you.
I was a consistent producer doing about $10 million a year, and I lived at the office. I was there at 7 in the morning, and I was there at 10 o'clock at night. My husband would bring me dinner, and I'd be doing my own flyers and transaction, everything. I did it all. And my company kept saying, you're a DMAT, like you need to hire somebody. But I was kind of too cheap to do that. So I finally just broke down. I think I had one of those moments, like I think I'm gonna get out of real estate. I really loved real estate, but I was working 24/7. So I hired an admin, and I can't remember, she might not have worked out, I can't quite remember, but Stacy and I decided, Jerry Reece came to us and said, hey, I want you to grow your team, and we went from like maybe an admin that was working 5 hours a week, I think, to then hiring kind of almost a full-time admin. And literally when we did that, our business changed drastically. That year we did 10 million more by just hiring an admin. So I would say if you are at the point where you're doing everything, don't do it. Hire people to help you do the things you're not good at so that you can get out and meet the public.
Stephanie? How soon? We talked.
Yeah, so I hired my first transaction coordinator at about like 7 million. And again, I was part-time, working nights and weekends. And it was really that 7 million mark, like right around the time that I went full-time, that I knew that I needed some help, just to kind of pull myself out. And by pulling myself out, I was able to double my business to like 14 million and then 15 million. And then I kind of got stuck around that 15, 16 million for a couple of years, right before we started the collective. And then we did another big hire. It's like in order to grow, we had to hire more people. And so in end of 2019, 2020, when we started the collective, we hired more people. And then my volume that year in 2020 went from 15 million to 33 million closed. And then from 33 million closed to 45 million closed. And it's just been, like the hires, it's like I can tell where my like volume and transactions have gone. And there's like a direct correlation by the amount of staff I have.
And sometimes, something important she said, sometimes you have to hire before the volume's there, which is hard because you're spending money that maybe you don't have.
Especially like, it was like 2020 and COVID came and I'm freaking out. I just started a new company, didn't know what was gonna happen. We had expenses. And yeah, we have to hire before the need because super strategic, very much into business planning, but like really figuring out where we're gonna go and where we're gonna grow, what those gaps are. But every time we make that big, significant investment, it pays off so much. I couldn't have gone from 33 million in 2020 to 45 million in 2021 without scaling that staffing piece.
Dan, I know you have words of wisdom on this too.
Since 2000, for the last 25 years, we have sent at least 2 connecting communication from our brand to the public, A's, A pluses, BCs, agents, vendors, other realtors. For 25 years, we've been sending 2 communications a month. And back then it was maybe a few hundred, and now it's about 5,000 a month. Times 2. So that's tip number 1, consistency. The reason we have some freedom is because we have been consistently communicating our brand to our best people for years and years and years and years and years. Okay, so that's point 1. If you're not doing that, do that. However many people in your database, send something out. Number 2 is the strategic hires have just created more freedom, because what I suck at, they're good at. And that's one of the criteria of hiring an assistant. What you're not good at or don't like to do, hire someone to do it. My first assistant was my wife, who completely changed my world and said, you really suck at these things, and I'm going to take those over. And we've been on a trajectory like this ever since. So a hire, if you have a goal of growth, and getting from this point to that point, this transaction level to that transaction level, this volume to that volume, or this amount of vacation to that amount of vacation, you have to hire. Not everybody wants to hire, that's okay. Not everybody wants to do what some of us are doing, that's okay. But if you want to go from point A to point B, you cannot get there alone. You have to hire. And if you choose not to, then that's okay. Then you'll be stuck at a volume level that you'll be okay with. Now, last Thursday night, I got a call at 6 o'clock at night with a gentleman that called me. He's not in this room. He said he's going to be here. Anyway, in tears. Someone I know really well, not in my brand, not related to me, but a friend who was in tears. Having a nervous breakdown. Literally having a nervous breakdown on the phone in front of me. I had my best month ever. My best month ever. And my wife's pissed at me, my kids won't talk to me, and my property management business is going to hell in a handbasket, et cetera, et cetera. How do you stay so calm? And you're doing 20x my volume every month. And the bottom line is he needed to hire somebody. Okay, he needed to hire somebody. He texted me yesterday and said he's hired a person already, and he's taken this part of his business away, and now he's flying again. But he needed someone to speak truth into him. So we did, and I did. And that's actually very common. We all get calls like that all the time for people that are on the ledge. You have to walk them off the ledge. Okay? So if you want to go anywhere, you have to hire. You have to hire. Now, how to do that is a whole other process, and there's all kinds of ways to do that. But if you don't want to grow, then don't hire. It's that simple.
I think something you said is important to touch on. Ask the people that are closest to you what you're not good at, right? Not everyone, not all of us have great self-awareness at times. Wouldn't you say? Yeah? And a lot of times the people closest to us can tell us, you are great at, I would say I'm good at 3 things, and I'm not good at 103 things. And I want to farm out those 103 things. And sometimes your clients, your teammates, your spouse can be the ones to sort of help you figure that out so you know who to hire.
Here's some things you need to not give up. You need to be a damn good leader to the team, to the people that you hire, and the people around you. And you have to be the best leader to the people that have hired you to buy or sell their home. Okay, one of the things that gets not discussed enough at these events, Popeyes are great, is you have to be really good in the transaction. You've got to lead in the, not be an ass, you have to lead. Sometimes I need to be led. I've been talked off the ledge a couple of times with somebody on this panel not too long ago about a very important transaction that I needed some correction, and it was done diplomatically and with love, and it got done. But if you're not willing to lead, your clients are expecting you to lead. Your assistants are expecting you to lead. And what's cool, if you hire the right assistant, then they'll become the teachers and they'll lead me, which is the greatest magic. And sometimes clients, there's a couple in this room that are here, that are clients of mine, that are leading me, helping me get better. That's magic. That's magic. And that's all because I've got some freedom, I'm a little bit aware, I've got some assistants to help me, and I'm not taking pictures anymore because I suck at taking pictures.
That's why Cassie can never leave me, because she's the boss of me. We say that all the time. It's just something.
One thing I was going to say, like I say, I'm a pretty independent thinker, and so back in the day, I was always scared to hire a full-time assistant to make that commitment to somebody. So I kind of checked out and I do part-time assistants. And so one day, about 20 years ago or so, I got this kind of aha moment. I thought, you know what? Why don't I find somebody that I already know that's a realtor? I think I have the best luck hiring people I already know, rather than going through the whole process of like being thorough like Dan or whatever. But anyway, but one thing that I had this aha moment, I'm like, what if I take this person in the office that I think is a good realtor that just, their business is not reflective of who they are, you know? So what if I take that person, let them be a full-time assistant to me, but also encourage them to do their own deals and help mentor them, help them grow their business. And my idea was, I want them to outgrow that job, you know? So what I do is, instead of me making this full-time commitment to somebody, then I would mark them up, you know, I pay them a certain percentage, and I take a cut off of whatever they bring in or whatever I handle or whatever. But it was a really good way for me to kind of ease myself into a full-time assistant. But it worked really well because, you know, it made me feel good that yes, I'm paying them a guaranteed salary or whatever, but I can offset that by what they're selling, you know, and it's a win-win because I'm mentoring them along the way and teaching them how to grow their business and how to outgrow that job really.
Okay, I want to go through this next question kind of quick because I want to make sure we have a lot of time for the market shift conversation. But is there a technology that you could not live without in your business?
Yeah.
Okay, if the answer is no.
Here's what I say. You know, like when I'm listing appointments, I'll just tell them I'm not a tech guy. We got a full-time marketing department, things like that. Really, my job is to make sure the pricing conditions where it needs to be before we ever go live. Once we go live, we got one job and one job only, and that's to get traffic through the door and get good quality traffic through the door. There's a number of technology things we do to make that happen, but I don't have to worry about the details. I'm pretty simple that way.
So I have a lot of like technology that I run like my platform off of. I don't want to get into any specific like thing. But I think that just generally speaking, my CRM technology is like critical and pivotal to what I do and how I do it. Making sure that my CRM is up to date, that I'm tracking different activities, that I am staying in touch with different action plans, and it is like incredibly consistent. And so for my team, like we've got different flows for things that are coming in from different like lead generation things, and then existing clients, and then, you know, agents and other referral partners. So I can't live without my database technology and, you know, what that CRM does for us on a day-to-day basis.
Do you mind just real quick sharing what kind of information do you keep in there? I think that would be helpful.
Like everything. I mean, genuinely everything.
Like making your coffee?
For us, it's, you know, where they came from, like what the category is, their address, their birth date, the anniversary dates, like it's everything. When the last time we connected with them on, when's the last time that they interacted with our brand, if they attended an event, what their pop-by schedule is, and kind of what that looks like, who they referred, just everything. So, you know, we have a really great way to track it with the technology that we have access to, and it makes it seamless for, you know, we just have to get back in front of our people and just being very consistent about that. And again, it's not just our clients, it's people that we know in the community. It is vendors that we work with. It is people from across the country and just different referral partners and people that we've met that have interest in what we do and how we do it. So CRM is like number one. Number two, never thought I'd say it, but I now can't live without social media because it has been such a big growth tool for our brand.
Do you mind, because I'm sure people would want to hear it, touching on that real quick? Do you do it yourself? Do you have someone help? Do you have a schedule?
We have someone help. I was like that undercover agent when I was doing my like full-time gig because I didn't want anyone in my former life. I was a senior strategy consultant for a Fortune 500 firm. I wanted nobody to know that I was doing real estate as a part-time gig. I was moonlighting as a realtor. And then when I shifted, I had to like dive into social media, and it was so uncomfortable. And then the reality is that people liked seeing us on social media. And so we get out there, we video, we have a contract with a videographer, so we're putting out pieces of content and thought leadership. Some of it's serious, some of it's funny and blooper reels. Like hire for your weakness, right? Like I'm not great at social media myself, so we definitely have someone that helps us with that, but just finding different ways to engage. And then, you know, it's interesting because they still want to see like me in my real life. I can post something about, hey, we just hit, we're the number 10 team across Kansas City, and we get some great likes. I post a picture with me and my kids, I'll get 200 likes, easy, in like 24 hours. So they want to see me just in my element, as well as the real estate piece.
And I want to touch on that just real quick, because I think people sometimes are afraid to share the personal side. That has also been the most successful for me. You have to prove that you are competent, and that, again, you've hit a certain level of success to attract more people. But they want to see that you're a real person, and when you are authentic and vulnerable on there, I think that attracts more people than anything you'll ever do.
They're seeing me at school, they see where I live, work, and play, they see that I'm going to a dance competition, they see like real life of home projects. My husband's a remodeler, so like we always have something fun going on. And so they see that and then they want to engage.
Speaking of the guy who's really great with tech, Dan, love you.
Technology, really quick. Number one, I don't mess with it on a regular basis. I have, thank God, people that are way smarter than me that do it, and they try to put me, if that's possible, in the best light possible. It's very hard. I will say one thing about technology. I have learned something. This is not rehearsed. This is just a candid, loving comment. If you don't know this woman to my left, Jennifer Guile, and her team, you're making a mistake. This, like our industry, it's a crowded industry. In the lending business, it's even more crowded. And to differentiate yourself by an APR and a 30-year amortization is just, is hard. Jen brings more technology to our team than what I bring to our customers. And not only that, she's actually really thoughtful and she's really good. So if you don't know who she is, you should investigate working and bringing some business into her because she will make you look good. That is technology for me. If someone can make me look good, get more likes, make me look slimmer, okay, whatever. I'm all about that, and that's what Jen does in her space for us. Okay, so that's a great use of technology because she's better at it than I am, and she makes me look good.
Thank you. I feel emotional. Shannon, what you got? Shannon or Brent, what you got?
Technology.
Yeah.
Well, I think our CRM is the most important aspect, and social media, and we don't do our social media. Maybe 1/10 of mine. I have hired my daughter. She's young. She knows what she's doing. She fires me about once a week, and I try to get involved in it. I don't know how to do reels, and then she sends me one, and I tell her it's wrong, and she tries to explain it to me. So it's absolutely worth hiring somebody. Tech. If you're not into tech, hire somebody that can do that. I've chosen to hire our daughter. Stacy has hired somebody outside within Compass. And then your CRM, and that is absolutely what I go to. Everything I do is in my CRM. And I really didn't have a very good CRM until about 4 years ago. I've been in business 26 years. But I finally focused on getting all of my contacts into my CRM, getting the phone number right, getting the email right, getting the address right, and then putting them in a drip campaign. Whether that was a monthly newsletter, it was a birthday card, that sort of stuff. So if you're not doing that, start. It'll make a difference in your business.
So I would also tell you, those of you who are new and again maybe don't have a budget, it does not have to be a fancy CRM. I don't care if you start with an Excel spreadsheet. You have to track the information somewhere. Obviously you don't have growth like Stephanie has had if there are not automated things that you can put into place. So you do need a higher level CRM at some point. But if some of you in here are budget conscious, just have something, right? Just have something. And if those of you who have not had CRM need to go back and gather information, that's a great time to connect with people. Whether it's on social media, reaching out and trying to get them live, whether it's just picking up the phone and letting them know, hey, you want to know their favorite things. We send a favorite things survey, which I'm happy to share. It's just a Google Doc, and it's maybe 10 questions, and it's, what's your favorite drink? What's your favorite restaurant? What's your favorite cake? So when it's Dan's birthday or Shannon's birthday, we're gonna bring something they really love, and that sets us apart because we know them at a higher level, right? People want to feel known. So just a thought there. Okay. So I want to ask this question, and then I want to go to the market shift because I know everyone wants to talk about that. This is a vulnerable question, and maybe some of you have touched on it already, but what is the biggest mistake you've made? Wildly successful people, but obviously you don't get to success without making lots of mistakes.
I know the biggest mistake I ever made was allowing myself to be stressed out all the time. And not allowing myself to delegate enough to my assistants, wanting everything to be perfect and all that. But anyway, the biggest change in my life really has been about 12 years ago, 15 years ago, where I finally decided I wasn't going to let stress in my life anymore. And very quick story, but I had a listing in a big subdivision here in Overland Park where I had it listed. I was still part-time. But anyway, I had it listed, and I had some people come in through the open house say, hey, we love it, we're going to buy it on Saturday, we're coming back. My client takes a buyout from the relocation company on Friday, and they end up buying it through this other agent that got the listing after that day. So anyway, I had it listed for about 100 days, so this flyer goes out to the whole neighborhood saying, ReeceNichols had it listed for 100 days. I sold it in the first day. I set it all up for them. All they had to do is walk in and get the deal done, you know. I was so mad, so angry for about 4 or 5 days. And then I sit there and think, you know what, I'm only hurting myself. Nobody cares that happened to me, you know. But anyway, that was one of the turning points where I decided I was going to not be as stressful. And then a number of years later, I had a few things happen in life, and I'm like, it's not worth getting stressed out. And I can be juggling 25 deals, and you would never know it. You know, I'm very consistent. I don't get stressed out. I don't stay stressed out. Things happen in this business. I don't flinch for a second.
Dan, got the mic down there. Biggest mistake?
A hard one, because when you're trying to refine everything you're doing, you never can really take credit for anything that's good. We're just the opposite of that. I'm a very pragmatic person, and nothing is ever really satisfying to me. It just isn't. We're always trying to get better. So my comment is, or the mistake is go big or go home. We are being touted by people around the country of our brand as being bigger than I think it is. It probably is, but I'm just not wired to bring attention to myself like none of us on the panel are. But I will tell you that that's probably the biggest mistake, is we should have really maximized our brand potential earlier in my career. I hope that my son Michael, who many of you know, who's a really good real estate agent, will take this legacy when I back out of this business in a few years and elevate the brand to the potential that it should be. And the reason we should that is not that is that the business is there. The people have been encouraged. The agents around the country know who you are, and as well trained as you are and as I am, we have a message to say. I have something to say. I've done this, and I've invested millions of dollars to be at this level of being a leader in and around the transaction and in my industry. And I think that that's one of our callings. There's a chosen few people who really have the gift of elevating our industry. That's you. That's you. And go big or go home. Look at this guy right over here in the middle here, Jackson. I'm watching this guy become famous on social media. And I'm just watching and I'm smiling about how I think he's relatively new in the business. Could be wrong about that, but you're elevating your game and you're becoming somebody that people are paying attention to. And I think that's noteworthy, and I think that's something that I regret not doing sooner, because I have something to say, you have something to say, and I think that most of our industry, we say too much, and we're not qualified to say what we know. The people that are trained to get better and have invested in personal growth and have a message, I think should elevate their game, and I think that's one of the regrets that I have.
Yeah, there were some opportunities missed kind of just throughout the past 7 years where, I was worried about changes, shifts, optics, there were some just big opportunities, and I wish I would have kind of done some things sooner. I think that just from a growth perspective, what that could have looked like if we would have just made a couple other choices throughout the way. But in real estate, you get comfortable, and it's hard to change, it's hard to differentiate, it's hard to, evolve your brand. But take that risk, evaluate your brand, do whatever you need to do to just elevate yourself. I wish I would have started coaching sooner. I needed someone to help me achieve greatness. I need someone that can help me be a better leader for the team. So I've been in coaching since 2017, and I wish I would have started that sooner. I wish I would have had the courage to switch brokerages a little sooner. I mean, that's a little controversial to say, I guess, but I just wish I would have had that confidence to do some of these things sooner, or I sat on it for a long time, just what should I do? But just having comfort and confidence in being okay with change, being okay that you're gonna do some things differently, and we might fail. So I've gotten comfortable with the thought of like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I might fail, I might have to shift, but what if like you don't take that risk? So.
How many of you guys are in coaching out there, if you mind? Okay. Something she said that I think is so important to touch on is that the best athletes in the world have coaches, the best executives in the world have coaches, so why doesn't everyone out there have a coach? And I will tell you from my personal experience, and the reason Dave and I have such an important relationship is he pushed me into coaching. I had been in the business for 12 years. I was already doing really well, but I hated it. And I told him I was about to quit and go bartend in the Cayman Islands because it was not fun the way I was doing business. And he pushed me into it, and it was life-changing because the coaching that we do is the 5 circles. And you've heard some people say up here, man, my personal life is off, or, you know, for me, sometimes my spiritual life has been off. My work might be great, my family might be great, but like, I'm not spending enough time working out or eating healthy or whatever it may be. And coaching is one of those things that helps get that in alignment. So if you are not in coaching, I think you need to leave here and get a coach immediately. Shannon, what biggest mistake?
Probably just consistent branding. An icon in our industry, Kristen Malfer, said to me, this has been eons ago, probably 20 years ago, she said, your branding is, you're just mixing people up. I mean, are you Brimacombe and Company? Are you Brimacombe and Cohen? You've got a picture of yourself behind a tree, and then you have you know, which my high school neighbor girl shot of us for probably $20, you know, and so from that point forward, I thought, God, I kind of evaluated what I had out there, and it was super confusing. And she was absolutely 100% right. So we decided to get a brand and stick with it. And that was life-changing for me. And it was hard to hear her give me some feedback. But she knows to this day that I appreciate the honesty. So, you know, be who you are and create a brand. You know, not everybody's going to like you. That's okay. But be consistent.
That's true too, not everyone's gonna like you. And you have to be okay with that, right? And that's hard sometimes. Yep. Okay, so I wanna talk about market shift, because that's, you know, all over the news and doomsday on social media, and those of us that are up here that have been doing this for a long time are not worried. You heard Dan say we're actually excited. And so what would you guys wanna share with maybe again some of the newer people that have not been through markets like this before? Advice, what's important, what to prepare for. I'm not going to be super specific, I just want you to kind of share your thoughts on it. If that's okay, Stephanie, what do you think?
Okay, so there is a ton of misinformation out in the market right now, and a lot of people are watching the news, and the news is coming from these major metros like New York and Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., LA, Chicago, major metros. New York and Silicon Valley are very tied to what? Technology and stock markets. So those markets, Silicon Valley and New York, have kind of shifted overnight to a buyer's market. But we hear most of the news coming from those major metros. So when people here in Kansas City are talking about the sky is falling, we get this henny penny mentality where they're freaking out, I pull them back and I say, okay guys, real estate is hyper-local, okay? So Kansas City has always been known for having steady, moderate growth. And while interest rates, yes, are ticking up, we needed a little bit of the slowdown. We needed more inventory to come on. This is still all very normal. Instead of what the past 2 years we went through, what we're going through right now, this minute, feels like summer of 2019. Do you guys agree? Like, so 2020, 2021, that really wasn't sustainable from just like a market perspective. So I think that we have to just get out there and be able to share that message, come in with facts, come in with data, and just educate your clients, because the best time to buy is when you want or need to buy. The best time to sell is when you want or need to sell. There's no magic equation. You know, it's just how we're talking to people about it in regards to partnering with great lenders and what are those lending options and tools, talking about ARMs, talking about refinance opportunities. The crazy thing though is, like, I've only been in for 7 years, so it's been pretty great since I have, been in the business. I am taking a look at my business, my marketing plan, my budgets, and I am trying to tighten things up. I'm investing more in certain areas. I'm trying to cut back in other areas just to be smart, to kind of prepare for a little bit of a shift in the market with less inventory. But what we do know is that the cream always rises to the top. There's going to be a flight to quality, and people are still going to want to work with the best of the best. So if we can deliver that amazing experience, that's what we're still focusing on, and we're not really worried about a ton of kind of the noise and just a little bit more on education.
Head exploding. Lots of good nuggets in there, yeah? Facts versus fear. And I wrote down flight to quality. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Know your facts. I said the exact same thing for years and years. I've been lucky 40 years. I've never had it down here yet. 07, 08. I grew my business those years as well. And that's exactly what I used to say, not in an egotistical way, but I feel like there was a flight to quality. We got down to 6,500 realtors in Kansas City during that time frame, and people wanted to go with somebody they knew would get results, not their cousin or their best friend. But I'm really big on knowing your statistics and painting a simple picture for people when they ask me questions. So if you look historically, these past 5 years are unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this. But if you look at more normal times, say 5 years ago, at any given time, there's 15,000 to 18,000 homes on the market in all of Kansas City. We got down to COVID hit, and at that time we had about 6,500 all-time homes on the market, which is an all-time low. Now, over the last 2 years, we've gone to that 6,500 during COVID, dropped down to 2,300 in January of last year. Over the summer, got up to about 4,000. Then by January of this year, it got back down to that 2,300 range. And right now, we're sitting right around 4,000 homes on the market. So historically, the inventory levels are really low. I talk about absorption rates, months of inventory, and things like that. So if you look at by definition, 5 to 6 months of the inventory is in a neutral market. 6 months or more is the buyer's market, 5 or less is the seller's market. And we're sitting at a little over 1 month of inventory right now. So in other words, 4,000 homes on the market. If you look at the past month, we sold almost 4,000 homes. So it's not quite that much. It's like 1.2 months of inventory right now. But that, to me, paints a clear picture and a real simple picture that people can understand when you're telling them the health of the market right now. And you look at 07, 08, yes, we took a hit. Perfectly good homes in Prairie Village, Blue Valley, they're always easy to sell. We took 12 to 15% hits in those markets even. So the tougher markets around town took a 30, 40% hit. Grandview and Raytown and some of those areas that are doing really well right now, they took huge hits back then. It's all supply and demand. We didn't have the 50% hits like LA and New York and things like that. So I think, if people understand that we're still very much in the seller's market, we're not going to get probably 20 offers on your house, we're going to get 3 or 4 or 5. But we're still getting really good offers, and homes are still selling for good prices. So I think if you have good facts that simplify it and really get that picture, I think it's understandable.
Shannon?
I'm with Brent. You absolutely need to know your stats. People are looking for you to be the expert. So again, we always say, people are scared for this shift. I'm not scared. I'm kind of excited, actually. And I think the public is scared, so we need to talk them off the ledge. We need to tell them, interest rates are at 30-year lows instead of 40. And they say to me, well, they're going to go down. Well, they probably aren't if you look at our inventory levels. We have 1 month of inventory. Prices aren't going down 1 month. They might level up, but they're not going to go down with 1 month of inventory. It's the old supply and demand. We have the millennials moving in and buying homes. They're bigger than the baby boom population. So you have to educate your clients and put out the positive message. And the positive message is the market's still going to be great. It's unbelievable. People are going to be buying and selling houses, and you should too, because the longer you wait, the more it's going to be historically. go jump in at a still attractive interest rate. I mean, interest rates, what, are 30-year lows instead of 40?
And you know, guys, I don't even talk about rate with our clients. I'm just gonna jump in for 1 second. I don't put it on our approval letters. I'm not saying we don't discuss it, but it is always, what is an affordable payment for you? Because they live in the payment, they don't live in the rate. And very few people keep their loans. On average, we keep loans, and we have 23 years of doing this. 5 years is about an average of how long people keep their loan. Because they either move up, they move down, they refinance, they cash out, they do home improvement. 5 years. So it does not matter what the rate is. Can they afford the house? And in the meantime, and Dan, you can probably speak to this as well when you talk, you're appreciating, right? If you're waiting to time the market, you're never going to get it right, right? If we get all the time the market, we'd be retired. So, what you got?
Okay, I'm gonna take a completely different spin on this question and talk about the reality of what is going on. First of all, if we're fearful as realtors, and I've been doing this 27 years, and some of you have been doing it less than that, and Brent's been doing it more than that, you always have a little bit of anxiety. Okay, I don't care even when turkeys fly hurricanes, which has been the last 3 years. I mean, business has been better than we deserve, period. It just has. For people that are in the business the last 3 years, business is better than what we deserve. We've been complaining about how hard we're working and how tough it is, and you know, you've got to show us on a Friday night because it just hits the market, or Friday morning, and bottom line is, it's never been easier for us to make a living at the level that we have been in the last 3 years in our history, period, end of story. I'll debate anybody that says that. So be thankful. Now we have change. And I'm an entrepreneur. I see my financial planner, Mark Schaefer over here, who has all of my money in the market right now. That guy right there. You want to have your money managed well, call Mark Schaefer. Here, he's ready to go. So like, freaking stand up. Stand up. Mark Schaefer, okay? So listen. Mark has been in the business with his partner, Mike Searcy, for many, many years. And I have all my money with him. All of it. I have not called him one time about the market, nor do I care. I do hear from him every week about the market conditions. We're well diversified, I'm comfortable, and he's my go-to guy. Right now, why do I say all that? Entrepreneurs, other business owners are also fearful about what's going on in the marketplace. They're worried about their business, their job. Anybody that has a job is worried in a recession. Are they gonna have a job tomorrow? That is the reality of what is going on when the media over-exaggerates what's going on. We are in a period of over-exaggeration, have been since COVID hit, period. So our job, as these people just said, is to calm everybody down and use statistics and data. There is no correlation to what's happening today to what happened in 2008. I am licking my chops for the next couple of years as things quiet down so I can gain, and the good realtors in this market will gain share. We will gain share. Our business will do nothing but grow. And here's my advice to you. Do not complain about any recession potential. Because if the market corrects 10%, if that's what happens, that means that you've still got 90% of the buyers and sellers that were there a year ago. There's a lot of business being done. And if your head is in the sand, worried about business, and you're not uncovering opportunities, then you have no business to complain. If you are not in the face of the people that know your name, in your COI, if you're not in their face, providing encouragement and realism about the reality of the marketplace, then you have nothing to complain about. Oh, the market's up. When's the last time you checked in with them? When's the last time you did a pop buy? When's the last time that you engaged in people that know you and have put money in your pocket back when the market was great? There's a ton of people moving. You just don't have your fair share. So go get it. Go get it. Period. Go get it. And be the encourager for people that need to hear from you. Be the leader. It's not bad. It's going to be more normal, okay? We might have to negotiate a little bit to get a deal done. Okay? Right. What did you say? Yeah, I mean, seriously, what is your definition You are a business leader, so be that. So if you want a tool of knowing what to do, and I'm going to make my one plug, I'm not a paid spokesman, but if you want to have a one-stop shop to understand what is exactly going on in the money market, what is exactly going on in the real estate market, just listen to Brian Buffini and his podcast. If you're not listening to it, you are hurting your clients. Brian Buffini has done more research than all of us put together in this room. Is a very stable message about the recession, about how to engage with your clients, and what the reality of the market is. And he's never been more optimistic. So if you want a one-stop, just go to his podcast and listen. He has a word for you, your wife, your kids, if you listen to him and embrace him. Okay, that's my suggestion. And if you want to go deeper, investigate in his coaching and all the other things that he does. That is my go-to resource for comfort and for peace. And I share that with my clients. I'm sharing that with you. Okay, that is my 2 cents. If you're not in the face of your clients, you have nothing to complain about. Most of you are. Most of your heads in the sand and starting to complain. Forget it. Don't do it. They're waiting to hear from you. So communicate with them. And all the different ways as this panel has suggested. That's my 2 cents.
That was another question we were going to go to, so perfect transition. Somebody submitted a question that I love, which was where do you go for your information to be an expert? Podcasts, who do you listen to as a speaker, books that you read? What else? We have Brian Buffini, right? Anyone else?
MLS stats. Right.
Do you look at it every morning? Do you study it?
Yeah, we study it. I mean, I want to know what's going on in the market, what's sold, what did that sell for. We listen to podcasts. Compass puts out a lot of information on our website. So I read it every day and I share it.
You should do. Any particular podcast you listen to? Put me on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, we read books, anything on our industry. I read the paper. My husband sends me probably every other day articles on real estate from Wall Street Journal.
Love it. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of a news junkie, so I look at Yahoo and some of those websites a number of times. I always read real estate stories and just hear other perspectives on things. But I frequently, like every day, probably more than once a day, I will, when I do my searches, it'll come right up there, actives, and it'll say 3,980 yesterday. I had to look this morning, but I watch that really close because I've seen this go from 2,300 to 4,000 in a very, very short period of time. It doesn't worry me, but it's something I always got that in the back of my mind is how much are things shifting? And we get information just from seeing how many shows we're getting on our listings and how many offers we're getting on our listings. So those are real easy ways to track the market. And I do look at the stats that Department of puts out.
Stephanie?
I do start my day with looking at the MLS. That's kind of like part of my morning routine. But outside of that, I just kind of want to look around and see what all of the great market researchers are saying. I get a ton of insight from Keeping Current Matters. They come out with some fantastic stats and then shareable things. Sometimes I'll take a look at their articles and then I'll transform that into a social media graphic or something that we can just share out on that. I love Ivy Zellman. She's a super smart real estate economist and market researcher, so I love hearing what she has to say.
Say her name again for me.
Ivy Zellman. Zellman and Associates, they put out some of the best real estate market research that I found. And then I have been with Buffini in the past, but I am currently in the Tom Ferry Coaching Network, so I get a lot of insight from that group as well, and then also through just the various Compass channels, the 6 a.m.ers, and just some of the different agent-to-agent networking. I travel about every other month for just different conferences or masterminds with some of the top agents and team leads across the country. So just being able to hear what's going on in other markets has been really comforting to just being able to get that information and insight is huge.
So we're almost out of time. I just want to give you a fact about rates, since I am seeing so many of you guys posting about them. This might help you, because most of us up here have been in this business since the 90s. It's hard to believe. Prior to 2010, The United States had never seen a mortgage rate below 4%, right? So in the history of mortgages, there was never anything below 4 till 2010. And prior to 2020, we have never seen a rate below 3.25. The last 2 years of rates are abnormal and just, like they said, lucky. It was easier to do business the last couple of years, and there was lots of opportunity to take advantage of the lowest rates we've ever seen in history, and we probably ever will see in history. So the sooner you start resetting people's expectation that we will probably never see those rates again, and stop making it about rate. I saw 29 posts yesterday about date the rate or whatever the post was. Sorry if you posted that. Stop talking about rate. It's not about rate. It's about where they're going to live, where they're going to grow their family, why, what is the need behind the move, and is it affordable? Because they're not going to keep that rate more than 5 years, like I already told you. Promise you that is a thing. And another stat. In a healthy housing market, we have rates between 4 and 5%. We are obviously a little higher than that right now, but we expect to stabilize. And the experts that we listen to, one of whom is Ryan Buffini, and the smart people up here, Fairway has experts consult for our company that are the top financial advisors in the country. Some of them worked on the Obama administration, and we have now weekly calls with them. They are saying that the next 5 years will be the busiest years real estate has ever had, and there's more opportunity in the next 5 years than we have ever seen for the people that are doing what these people are doing, okay? And we're probably, we don't want to get into recession, but they predict we will be in a full-on recession, and in every other recession that we've had, rates have dropped significantly. So again, people buying now will most likely have the ability to refinance next year or the year after, right? Can't guarantee it, but it is about, is the house affordable now? And you guys stay in touch with your people and let them know what's happening with the rate market. And if there is an ability to drop that payment. Because if it's affordable now at 6%, would they feel valued if you were reaching out to them, letting them know it's 4 to take advantage of that? No? So we're almost out of time. Would you guys share one last piece of advice, maybe the best advice you've ever received, something you want to leave people with?
I like to be funny sometimes.
You like what?
I like to be funny sometimes, so anyway, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about my listing coming up in Garnet Hill for $3 million. Anyway, no, that's one thing that I do is pick up the phone. You know, there's too much text and email in this business, and I'm really big on picking up the phone, as most of you know. So anyway, but you know, when you have things like that, you know, I go out and I find out, okay, who's selling $3 million homes in Kansas City? I pick up the phone and call every one of them and tell them about this new listing.
Wrong name.
All right.
Hey, Kristen. Check out my new listing in Garnet.
I might have sent a text to her.
I said, hey, Bob.
By the way, I do wish my name would have been Bob, you know, for the Bob Sledd. In my 20s, I thought about changing it. Too old for that now. Yeah. I got a lot more to say, but I'll end on it.
I love that. By the way, did any of you in your head say, Yahoo, when he said he goes to Yahoo for years? No? Just me? Okay. Who else? Best advice.
For me, it's all about if you're just have a schedule and stick to it. For me, that's like, even still, I keep my schedule of what my morning looks like. I work on my business in the afternoons. I work on the team in the morning. So like I know kind of what my windows are for like appointments, and then trying to, you know, just build in that balance time. That's been just really huge for me, of just making sure that there was like consistency, right? Of like they're saying, time to pick up the phone. We can get really busy really fast with like all these other things that just kind of don't matter at the end of the day. So by having that structure and that schedule, that is like my best piece of advice, because it's just been something that's been critical for me as, you know, a new agent, and even where I'm at now, and something that I'm working with my agents like every single day, is finding that time to prospect, finding that time to book a lunch or a coffee with someone, and then making sure that, you know, you still have all the time for prospecting, showing homes, previewing homes, writing contracts, and selling homes, because at the end of the day, that's how we all get paid.
Miracle Morning is another great book. Talked about books a couple times. Those of you that may have trouble with schedules, highly recommend it.
2 tips very quickly. We talked about the expense of an assistant. An assistant is not an expense, it's an investment. Okay? The fact is you're going to grow, you're going to make more money, you're going to be more profitable. So create a revenue stream with your assistants. Teach them how to advance your brand. Teach them how to create a database. Teach them how to have a referral dialogue on the phone. Hey, good to see you, your loan's going to close on Friday. By the way, you're working with the best real estate team in the country. We're highly trained, we're very thankful for you working with us. If you know anybody that could use the same advice we're giving you, please let us know. We are never too busy to work with people that you love and know and explain them about this crazy market. Whatever your dialogue is, teach your people that work around you that type of conversation and let them become a referral source and to reinforce your brand. That's number one. Number two is make sure people see your passion. Okay, I've never been more excited. I'm 65 years old. I've never been more excited about this market and the future than I've ever been in my life. And you know what? That's the number one comment I get when I speak to people across the table, having lunch or coffee with somebody. They understand that is a privilege and they see the passion in my heart. And by the way, people want to do business with people that have a little passion. Okay? They just want to see you bring in the goods, and it's just the way that we're wired. So bring the passion, be positive, okay? Because it's really easy to show your stress on your face, and you're too busy, you have no time for me. It's really easy to do that when you have all the crap that we have going on. You have to change that mindset and make sure the customer knows you've got their back by your passion in your heart.
What else?
Kind of the same as Dan's. Be passionate about what you're doing. If you don't love this business, get out and find something that you do love. And secondly, be positive. People are looking for you for inspiration, and so I was told, and I read this in a book, and it made a big impact on me, that find the like in everything and everyone you come in contact with. Even if you don't like that person, find something that is awesome and focus on that.
Mary Lucas? Another book. Readers are leaders, people.
Good book, must read it.
Read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Everybody is my superior in some way. It is from them that I learn.
Brent, you also said, buy rental properties until you run out of money, which I think is important to say. That was in our conversation.
I've been a realtor for 40 years, I've landlord for 41, so I started buying rental properties at an early age. And, you know, I have one rule and one rule only that I've followed for 41 years consistently. I only buy houses that are easy to resell. If they're easy to sell, they're easy to rent, and they tend to appreciate more. And you know, and I started, like back in my Hallmark days, you know, I'd go list a house, and if I liked it, you know, my real estate money was my dad. If I liked it, I'd say, "Hell, go ahead and buy your house. I'll knock 6% off and close whatever you want to." And it's nice and easy. So anyway, I started building up rental properties that way. But what I've done is I've lathered up through the years, and like I just sold off 3 houses last year. One I owned for 25 years, one I owned for 22 years, and then I flipped. So I took the money out of those properties. I built 3 brand new houses, 2 out in South Everland Park and 1 in Western Shawnee. And you know, my rent was paid off my loan for it, and I can tell you all that stuff. But anyway, but just buy houses that are easy to resell. I mean, you're value goes up while your loan goes down, and over time, it's a great wealth doing that. If I get 10 up now, and so if I ever want to retire, I can like sell one of those a year and live the next 10 years.
So, I want to close because I want to be respectful of your time, but I want to remind you, those of you who don't have marketing teams or marketing departments, if you need help, Kevin is really amazing. If you need to get connected to him, reach out to us, we'll connect you. I know he's got some stuff out in the lobby. He's helping us with the things that we don't thrive at. If you want to get connected to Mark, reach out. Again, I can speak for him too. He's been our advisor for, I don't know, a very long time. He does a wonderful job. And I know that these 4 exceptional people up here, if one of them resonated with you, they're always looking to grow their teams organically, so reach out. I want to give them a huge shout out because they are super busy, so to take this amount of time and to share everything that they have, they're all exceptional, not at just their jobs, but in the community, they all give back in different ways, which also is really important. We didn't get to touch on that. I'm very grateful enough to give them a round of applause.